to talk about the recent spate of oil spills that occurred sometime between Monday night, October 29th at 7 p.m. and sometime late into the night, Tuesday, October 30th. And the federal and state response to those spills. Arthur Kill Waterway, 13 miles long, separates New York from New Jersey. That's a good look at a photo taken by Greenpeace just in the day following the spills. Oil was everywhere, hard to tell where it all came from. Part of the problem is you got to sort it all out. Whose oil is it? What kind of oil is it? Where is it going? These are the three major oil spills. I'm sure that there were other spills, small spills. There were leaks of all kinds of things from boats, vehicles, whatever. But here are the major oil storage and refinery facilities that experienced large spills. Motiva, Seawarren, tank rupture, diesel fuel. Kinder Morgan, biodiesel, tank rupture. Conoco Bayway, refinery, waste oil release. That spans just about the full 13 miles of the Arthur Kill. First off, starting in the south with the Kinder Morgan facility in Seawarren, it's not this facility. That's nearby. That's the Hess refinery, just to the north. But Motiva is simply a storage terminal. It moves oil in and out by boats, trucks, transfer. And the spill occurred right here. These two tanks, A15 and A17, containing a total of approximately 380,000 gallons of diesel fuel, ruptured sometime in the night. It is believed that the tanks ruptured not when they went up with the surge, but when they came down and hit back down again. They're still looking for the rupture. They believe it's on the bottom. Maybe a log got lodged underneath when the tank lifted. The berm height, so important in protection of oil storage facilities. Berm height that contains this area A, terminal A, was 10 feet in height. It's estimated that the surge was 14 feet above mean low water here, 4 feet above the protective berm. The oil extended up the Arthur Kill from Tufts Point down to Conference House Park and in to the interior of Woodbridge Creek, Smith Creek, and in the marsh at Tufts Point, as well as down in Mill Creek. Those are some of the large marshes, but it affected nearly all the shoreline, very light to heavy at times. I'm not going to use strict terms or definition of where and when the oil was heavy, light, medium, because that's part of the ongoing federal and state investigation. So because that's in draft, I won't be able to share that with you today. So I'm just going to use documents that are not part of the case. So we move on to the, there was, of course, in oil spill response there is the immediate action to close down sensitive areas. This is done via the Coast Guard and NOAA, aerial flyovers, helicopters, planes, to pinpoint, locate the direction of the oil. And there's the cleanup, which is done in conjunction with the companies. And then finally the NRD assessment, natural resource damage assessment, which I'm a part of, where we come in and look at all of the data that's been collected aerially and on the ground, and we determine the extent of the oiling and the potential injury. Here we are out in vessels on Woodbridge Creek, and what you're seeing here, I don't know if the lights, if we could turn the lights down, that might be helpful, because what you're looking at here is a band of diesel fuel heavy paraffins in the fuel sticking to the edge of fringe marshes. Again, I think you can see that now pretty well. That's the extent of oiling. Now, that's above, the top band there is above mean high water, which means oil, the tide took it high enough for it to spill over onto the marsh plains. Some of these marshes are just fringe marshes, so they ascend rapidly to upland, and some of them are large panels of marsh, where you get large coverage of oil throughout the marsh. This is another somewhat mix of just a fringe marsh with a large, somewhat, I think about 100-acre marsh on Woodbridge Creek that got oiled pretty heavily. There's the band again. Here's the response while the NRD assessment is going on in the first week of the spill. You got teams out there doing vacuum extraction. This is in Smith Creek. Guys wearing lots of Tyvek suits, level D gear. You can see the banding right here. This is the heavily impacted area of Smith Creek where the oiling was considered heavy. It gets vacuum pumped out. Then we move on to the Kinder Morgan facility in Carteret, also a storage facility, not a refinery. They stored biodiesel in these tanks right here. Same scenario, uncertain tide height, was not recorded, but it was enough to top the containment facility, and the biodiesel, 2 tanks of biodiesel ruptured, estimated, uncertain right now, the amount of oil that escaped. But what did it do? At the time of the spill, we had strong southeast winds pushing northwest. Most of the oil moved into this marsh panel right here. Biodiesel, by the way, is a product, in this case, a soybean oil. So it's a step removed from soybean oil. It's a light yellow oil that we were unable to detect in terms of staining on the marsh vegetation. So this is Rum Creek. This is a small tidal gut, somewhat ends right here, and the extent of the oiling is believed to have extended only within that area. Now, the spill before, the Motiva spill, extended all across the Arctic Hill in many areas. So even though we had a southeast to northwest wind that could have drove it into Woodbridge Creek, the timing of the spill was such that much of the oil headed north and south on the outgoing tide. Let's see, now this is, I wanted to show you this and it's out of order. This is the Motiva spill in Seawarren again. Slides out of order, I apologize.
2 minutes, Carl.
Yeah, what you have here are all the restoration areas that have been recorded in the area, restoration of salt marshes in particular that could have been affected by the spill. That's not the extent of all the marshes that could be affected, but I think it's important to note that we're here with the Harbor Estuary Program, which sponsors and supports restoration, and the potential is becoming greater and greater to impact high dollar value restoration projects as we do more and more of those projects in these kinds of sensitive areas where we've got port facilities merging with habitat, and the result is that we oftentimes experience injury in these restorations. So here you have the Kinder Morgan spill in Carteret, and again, the red polygons represent the areas that have been restored to date in the area. None of these were affected by this spill, we believe. This is the Conoco Bay Wave plant moving northward. There was damage beyond just oil spilling. The damage extended to destruction of buildings, decks, barges. The water height topped this little electronic data station, overtopped it by 2 feet. So it's pretty extraordinary. And here's the spill. Now this is interesting. This was not a tank rupture. This was a waste oil waylay station. This is a pool, like Olympic-sized pool of oil that sits right on Morse's Creek, which lets out to the Arthur Kill. Right on the edge of that creek is this open pit of about 20,000 gallons of waste oil waiting to be processed. The oil escaped from there on the surge. The surge, estimated to be plus 16 feet above mean low water, possibly as high as 18 feet above mean low water, making that the highest tidal surge ever recorded in New York Harbor. That's based on the fact that the 16-foot high berms were overtopped by about 2 feet of water. Again, banding. And then finally, the oils, I've got like half a second left, but the oils blew into Linden, New Jersey, through Morse's Creek this way, heading westward. This is the pit. They wouldn't allow me to get too close to it with my non-intrinsically safe handheld telephones and cameras and stuff, but there you go. It's an open pit. These balls seal the top of it that holds down volatiles, but the balls were found about a half-mile inland, covered in oil. This swamp forest was impacted dramatically. That is the oil, 4 foot high on the swamp forest vegetation. That's how high it got. That's a big pit. That's a ditch filled with waste oil. These are guys. There are 500 guys out there in Tyvek suits trying to clean it up, tamping this down in this wetland area. More of the same, guys wading through the oil, trying to push it forward to the vac trucks. Here's another technique. Spray it with water and push it towards the vac trucks. Here's another technique, a bunch of pom-poms set in front of a culvert opening. Here's another one blasting it, the other person blasting it towards her. Vac truck comes and sucks it up. Here's guys taking down trees that were oiled and fallen. Here's a bunch of guys waiting orders to clean these gravestones. Here they are at Roast and Grave Cemetery, actually steam cleaning graves, several acres of the cemetery impacted, and here's the kind of waste that's collected afterwards. And here are all the restoration sites in the vicinity of the Conoco Bayway refinery. None were believed to have impacted as the oil all was directed this way, but we dodged a bullet in that case, but not the residents of Linden, because some of the homes, in fact, had to be sucked out from the basements from oiling.
Thank you.